Welcome back to the pod. Thank you for joining me today. You know why I'm fired up today, man? I'm going to tell you why I'm fired up today. I am fired up today because America is fired up today. America is fired up today. America is establishing their dominance on a global stage. Massive levels. They're letting Iran know, listen, we are parked in front of your house right now. They got warships over there, man. They got the nuclear airplane that the fucking president has to ride in when everything gets a little bit too iffy for him. Like, they setting up to spin the block multiple times on Iran. All right? Iran is not ready for the kind of shit that's going to be coming. That shitstorm that they created is going to hit them harder than tax season hits us. You think the last presidency would have been able to do the type of shit that Trump is doing this presidency? Hell no. Picture an inexperienced person in life, and they're gifted a Hellcat Charger. And they drive that motherfucker like they going to work on a casual Thursday morning. You know what I'm saying? That is what it was like. Now, Trump is in this Hellcat, and he is beating the shit out of it. He is beating it so bad. Trump is riding his Hellcat like it's about to, like the wheels gonna fall off, right? That is how you handle situations. All right. Now, I'm not saying you got to go ballistic off the charts, but when it comes to war and somebody keep playing with you, keep undermining you, acting like you ain't going to do that, that's when you take that Hellcat and you spin the block a few times and you let them have it. I do not feel bad for anybody who is crying over the fact that Trump might take this to the fucking house. I'm not. If you are not with America, you are not with America. That's it. It's just the black and white. There ain't no gray areas. You either support him or you don't. And if you don't, then guess what? You're not for America. I had to get that out. Because, you know, if for those that don't know, I'm back on Instagram, right? But I can't really talk the way I talk here on Instagram because, you know, people want to like be stupid and shit. People want to, you know, do dumb shit because they don't like to hear it. See, I respect somebody who has an opinion, right? And at least leaves it alone, right? They look at the opinion, they go, you know what? I don't get what this motherfucker trying to say, but I'm going to just keep it pushing. Now, I respect that individual because that's how I would do too. If I hear somebody say something on a video, that don't mean I got to fucking go and report the person and do all this dumb shit because I don't like your political view or I don't like any opinion that you have, you know? Honestly, I feel like that's a cowardly act, but it happens every day. It happens to me all the time. I opened up a new Instagram. So far, I'm at 1,000 and some change, and I appreciate every single person that supports me and follows me. To all the people that have found me, what's up? And then also, everyone that is to come. You know, I hope you guys enjoy the ride because you know what I do? My content is blunt. I'm going to just speak the way I speak, but I've learned now that I can't really say much of what I really mean sometimes because people don't want to fucking hear it there. Instagram is a place to be fake. You either tag along with the trends, you know, do a couple little dances like 5-year-olds, and that's it. That's all they want to see on Instagram. They don't want you to speak reality. So when I run into people on Instagram that are bringing the truth and talking real, I follow them. That's a rarity on Instagram. To find people that are really speaking the truth and standing on business, that's a rarity. But I respect it. I salute every single one of you guys that do it. I do. I think it's dope. You got to be able to speak your truth, man. It doesn't matter what it is. And if you make it funny, then make it funny too. I got dark humor for you guys, man. And I know a lot of people that follow me for that dark humor because I do say some crazy shit. I'm not going to lie about that. But at the end of the day, if it's humor, it's humor. A joke's a joke. You either like it or you don't. You can keep pushing. The first week of the Diddy case, I talked about this a couple episodes back. It was crazy. That first week alone led to so many reveals. You know what I mean? So many bombshells from the Diddy case. I didn't know how to feel about it, to be honest. I was like, this shit is just this. If this is how it is right now, I can imagine as it continues to escalate. And so it did. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan are both name dropped in the Diddy trial as prosecutions near the end of testimonies. Diddy's ex-girlfriend mentioned 3 basketball superstars, okay, during her testimony Tuesday. Jane testified under the pseudonym, told the jury she used nicknames to sometimes refer to Diddy and male escort named Paul during the trio's alleged hotel nights. Trifecta was one of the nicknames. Jane, again, that is a pseudonym, which is a pseudonym is when a person in trial goes under an established name rather than their actual name, okay? Jane testified and explained that they used it because it's 3. Jane also testified that they gave each other nicknames relating to famous sports stars Kobe Bryant, Shaq, and Michael Jordan. Jane was Kobe Bryant. Who do you think Diddy was? Fucking Jordan, of course. And an escort was often referred to as Shaq. And this is all according to her testimony. Now, listen, man, this is the crazy part about this whole Diddy trial, right? Nothing surprises me anymore. That's probably the milder stuff. All right? You got Cassie over there talking about murdering somebody, chopping them up into pieces. I mean, that just came out recently. Cassie went from being the innocent victim to, I'm going to chop you up into pieces and I'm going to disappear your ass, nigga. All right? Like, this shit is like, this takes more turns, all right, than an LA highway. There are more twists and turns than an LA highway in this Diddy trial. All right? Honestly, man, this is what needs to happen. I'm going to say it right now, okay? If Diddy did do it, just, lock him up for it. Why do we have to watch this whole parade of celebrities having to explain? Like, I don't want to hear this shit, to be honest. I don't want to sit there and listen to how Diddy rubbed a bunch of baby oil over a dude's fucking thighs or some shit. How about we just, skip all that extra? All right? We already know the deal with Diddy. And just get to the point. Dragging this shit across the fucking floor. Just get to the point already. Y'all want to hear I know, and I get it. Everyone, I'm sure you guys are going to be in the comments like, oh, but everyone deserves okay, and I do believe that. I believe everyone deserves a fair trial. I believe everyone deserves a trial. A full-blown trial, the whole thing. But at the same time, bro, how much longer is this Diddy trial going to go for? I've been listening to the Diddy trial every single day for the last year. From the expectation of it coming up to now going through the process. I get it. They want to be detailed. Fine. Can we just, talk about something else? Fat Joe tried to kill 50 Cent. The lawsuit alleges, now let me put you on game real quick. There was a lawsuit that was filed this past Thursday against Fat Joe. The former hype man, Terrence T.A. Dixon, he filed this lawsuit. And in this lawsuit, there's a lot of shit we about to get to. But one of the things that stood out to me was how allegedly, Fat Joe tried to kill 50 Cent. he then later abandoned the plan over the fact that they had Navy SEAL type securities. We're talking about 50 Cent security team. Of course he walks around with fucking Navy SEALs. He almost got killed the first time. Would you think he ain't gonna be ready this time? You think he just gonna just like, oh fuck it, I'll be all right. That motherfucker gonna hire the best of the best of the best. That just makes Fat Joe look crazy. What is Fat Joe getting himself into? Why would he, if this is true, once again, I don't know if this is true, but if this is true, what would lead Fat Joe to want to get into this bullshit? You're going to hire somebody from the street probably. He probably got some like dumbass dude at the corner store and like, yo, I'll give you a couple bands if you take 50 Cent out. Like, are you fucking stupid? You got to be fucking stupid. I've never really been a fan of Fat Joe. Once Big Pun passed away, and the way that Fat Joe came into the picture, it really did stir me off the wrong way. I don't feel like Fat Joe is that valid. I feel like Fat Joe uses money to pretty much make his own, validation in the hood, to be honest. The man is full of stories. And boy, let me tell you, you'll be sitting there for hours listening to some shit. Fat Joe is a very creative individual, is all I'm going to say. But anyways, in the article, it said that the former hype man, Terrence T.A. Dixon, is suing the New York City rapper for $20 million. And the legal complaint alleges that he attempted to hire someone to murder 50 Cent during the height of their beef. Fat Joe has denied, obviously, the allegations in the lawsuit in a statement shared by his lawyer and filed a defamation lawsuit against Dixon and his attorney earlier this year. So, I was around for the 50 Cent and Fat Joe beef. I got to see it unfold. And there was a lot of heated confrontations between these guys. I believe they've actually confronted themselves at a point. So it doesn't really surprise me. I really think he did do it. He wants to try to act like he would never do something like that. But, just back in that time, the way 50 Cent was going at him, because you see him now on social media and he's a fucking troll. He will troll you to death online. So imagine that at the height of 50 Cent's career back in the day, where things were a little bit more looser. They weren't so like strict, with a lot of stuff. So you can get away with a lot of shit. Imagine that moment, that time. I mean, he took Ja Rule completely out of the industry. He was able to, I'm not going to say single-handedly because there were other people that jumped into this beef, but he was able to stop Ja Rule from creating music and generating money. That takes a type of person that is very malicious. And so it doesn't surprise me that Fat Joe would try to put a head out on 50 Cent. I believe it. And I cannot wait to see where this goes from here, because now T.A., Terrence Dixon, and Fat Joe are now involved in this lawsuit battle back and forth. They're going to be going at it for a little bit, so I'm going to pay attention to this one, because this is not the worst of it. Oh, no. It gets worse, man. Fat Joe sued T.A. Dixon, once again. He sued him for $20 million by former hype man in an explosive complaint. He alleges that the rapper engaged in sex acts with minors and coerced him into more than 4,000 sexual acts to maintain his standing. Goddamn, Fat Joe, what the hell are you doing? You're engaging in sex acts with minors? Like, if that's even true, we have to be in the middle. Look, guys, listen to me. I know that, we want to be, either one side or another. A lot of people I know that are watching this are like, oh, he did it. And then I'm sure there's a lot of people that think he didn't. We have a lot of people that think fucking Megan Thee Stallion was shot by, Tory Lanez. But so that if they do that, You know they got people that are backing up Fat Joe thinking he ain't do this. But we got to stay in the middle. We got to carry that balance. All right? And just kind of watch and observe this as it's going on. And so there is a possibility that he engaged with minors. In fact, it was said in the lawsuit that I guess he paid a 16-year-old's BBL. Okay? A Brazilian butt lift, for those that are not, familiar with the term BBL. This guy is a sick motherfucker. If he did this, because again, we gotta walk that thin line. But if Fat Joe did this, I'm not gonna say he did. I'm not gonna say he didn't. That is some sick shit, bro. But you see, that also opens up a whole nother topic as well. Because when you think about it, you have Diddy that's already on trial for behaviors such as the one that Fat Joe's being sued for now. Yet we have so many more questions over other artists like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Oh yeah, I don't leave Beyonce out of it. Whether a victim or not, I believe firmly that when Jay-Z got involved with Beyonce, she was underage, buddy. Oh yeah, you got to do your homework. Jay-Z is a manipulator. I believe that. That's my opinion. I feel like it's only a matter of time before he falls into something. I mean, Diddy's already on trial. Fat Joe is about to begin this battle, this lawsuit battle with TA. And there's numerous other people that are not as big figures as these guys that I've named, but they're also involved in sexual misconduct. I mean, if we can go back to R. Kelly. I mean, this is not a thing that's new by any means, but it does surprise me when you see people that display a certain behavior that makes you kind of like, maybe we should kind of keep an eye on this guy. You know what I mean? And it surprises me when they slip through the cracks. Like you don't really see them in the light like that. They're always hitting in the backgrounds, but you can see it. I mean, I'm not trying to name out people, but there are certain artists out there that are from New York that have a lot of money that can pay off a lot of people and make things move and make things happen that are obviously just slipping through the cracks, buddy. Suicide pod activist takes his own life after being arrested for murder of a woman who used the Circle pod that he promoted. Listen, look. When I saw this story, I had to talk about it. It's the irony of it, right? The irony. This guy created a business. He built a business on suicide. This man created a business where he has these pods, right? And then an individual who doesn't want to live anymore for whatever reason. It doesn't even got to be a vital reason. It could just be their minds, they're depressed, or whatever the fuck it may be. And they could hop in this pod like it's a damn ride at Six Flags and take off on the ride of their lives, literally. And so now what's ironic to me is that this same individual, all right, the creator of this company, took his own life. Who would have seen that coming? A euthanasia advocate who was quizzed by murder detectives after the death of a woman using a controversial Circle euthanasia pod last year. This is an insane story, by the way. I'm reading it via paper. He has died by assisted suicide. He died using his own stuff, When they say never get high on your own supply, never mind. Anyways, so it was announced yesterday Dr. Florian Willett, 47 years old, was arrested in September of 2024 following the death of a 64-year-old woman. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they arrested him, so that's interesting. he had a business, and according to the business, or according to the articles that I read, this business was legit. From what I thought this business was supposed to, like, this was because of the way they spoke about it, but apparently they arrested the guy. And the lady that died was a 64-year-old woman after the police claimed that there were strangulation marks. Oh, okay. So the bitch ain't die immediately. Rather, the pod didn't work. So the pod didn't work, and he just like, he when he opened it, she was still there, and he was like, "Oh no, bitch, you about to go." She said, he said, "We ain't about to ruin my business motto here. You jumped in this pod, you gonna stay in this pod." The circle suicide device, which had been set up in a forest near, I'm not even gonna try to say it. Well, I'm gonna try. Let me give it a shot. Mauritiusen, Switzerland. That's not bad. I usually like butcher the shit out of words, so that was actually not bad. Dr. Willett was held when police arrived at the scene and remained in custody for 70 days as investigators probe the circumstances surrounding the death. So, from what I'm gathering, it seemed like he just, his business wasn't doing too well. I mean, if the bitch ain't die and he had to take matters into, is that even like, you got to think about it this way. Was that even like, is it murder? Like, if the bitch said, "Listen, I want to die," whatever the case may be, I'm depressed by it. My husband passed away a few years ago. I just don't want to be around. Okay, whatever the case, and I know this is a really tough topic. I'm already like thinking to myself, should I even be talking about this on YouTube? Because anything can happen. They'll take your page off quickly. So maybe I'll start using unalive. How about that? Unalive. So what I'm trying to say is this. If the lady wanted to unalive herself, damn, I said a lot of crazy words. We're gonna try to do this, and hopefully I don't get canceled for this. Let me, let's try this again. So what I'm trying to say is, if this lady wanted to unalive herself, right, and wasn't successfully unalived when the pod closed and did whatever it's supposed to do, and then the guy opens the pod and witnesses this lady still alive in front of him, what is Willett supposed to do? Right? I know what I would do. But, what is Willett supposed to do? They got him on a murder charge because he manually assisted this lady in unaliving herself. You see how I'm going easy with these words? I'm trying to figure shit out as I'm talking to you guys. You got to understand, it's a struggle to try to talk to you guys sometimes. I feel like I have to do Morse code. I might have to start Morse code, using Morse code for everything, because this is almost impossible to try to achieve without getting canceled or your page taken down. It's insane. And I'm just delivering a story, people. I'm just delivering a story. Anyways, whatever the case may be, man, he took it, he obviously unalived himself. Using the same methods of of what he built, so he's probably happy about that. The public prosecutor said that there had been a strong suspicion that an intentional homicide had been at play. So, but isn't that the point? Someone's gonna have to explain this to me. Seriously, because if the lady wanted to be unalived and it didn't work fully. The machine that was intended to unalive her didn't completely work. And then so he then assisted in this thing manually, literally manual. Obviously, I mean, we know that it was an intentional homicide. So, but why is he in trouble for that? Or rather was, because obviously he took the same route that lady took. Why was he held like in a way as a murderer? I mean, listen, man. To each his own. To each his own. I do not promote unaliving, though. No, I don't. I rather us suffer until something down the line takes you out. But I do not promote just taking an exit. I just don't, okay? There's a lot of ways you can deal with your issues. You got alcohol. You got drugs. You got a book. I don't know. You know, everyone has their path. It depends on how you feel or what you want to do, right? So, R.I.P. 64-year-old lady. R.I.P. Dr. Willett. Here's to you. That's what you got. If you don't make that noise after your sip of coffee, it's like that. You know, if you do not do that, ain't a good cup of coffee. I promise you it's not. If you're not sipping and making noises, it's not a good cup of coffee. Take it from me. I've been drinking coffee my whole life. I know exactly how a coffee is supposed to feel. Not just taste. You feel a good cup of coffee. You understand what I'm saying, man? Some people don't, but some people do. You understand what I'm saying? It just be like that. A man ruptures his stomach after taking GHB and shelving 15 hard-boiled eggs. Count them, 15. This man took 15 hard-boiled eggs up the Rectonius maximus. You know what that is? The Rectonius maximus is the rectum, buddy. This man, you know, and he was high as a kite on GHB. I mean, what? This guy, like, you know, what? People go to the E-room with numerous things up their ass all the time. This is not anything new. I mean, it's funny as shit to think about someone wanted to stuff 15 boiled eggs. What is the end game on that too, by the way? Like, what are you supposed to get to? You stuff 15 boiled eggs up your ass. What is the end game here? What is the sexual pleasure that a person gets from that? Okay? This was one of 3 stories recently featured in the Dutch Journal of Medicine. Of course, it's the Dutch. Who else would be stuffing hard-boiled eggs in their rectum? Shout out to the Dutch people. You guys are amazing. It said the subject of a step-by-step approach to rectal corpus alienum. The paper's author reported that, can you imagine being the author to this article, writing the shit? I'd be thinking about that shit too often. Like, I just be like, you know, I'd be reading some articles that are just off the fucking wall. And you have to think to yourself, someone wrote this. Someone reported on this. Okay? And I had to sit there, word by word, describe and explain the situation. You know? I know some of them might be crazy, but then there are others that you're just like, okay, this is like too much. This guy stuffing 15 eggs up there. It's just going to it's going to trigger me to write an insanely funny article. That's why I know I cannot be a damn journalist. I just can't. I couldn't do it. This would be too much. It'd be too much. I mean, Instagram doesn't like me already. Imagine me on that scale, being a journalist for New York Post or some shit. Yeah, I'll be fired the same day. By the time he got to the hospital, the Eggman. See, this is the part this is what I'm talking about. They fucking dubbed him the Eggman. He had an abnormally rapid heartbeat of 120 beats per minute. Yeah, he was fucking panicking, obviously. And respiratory rate of 28 breaths per minute. Suspecting that he may be suffering from abdominal sepsis, the doctors performed a CT scan. Then they performed emergency surgery, to get those 15 eggs out of his ass. Visible in the CT scan were a perforation in the sigmoid pelvic colon and a considerable amount of air and fluid in the abdominal cavity. The doctors reported, therefore, we deemed an emergency laparotomy, a surgical incision into the abdominal cavity, necessary. I just read a bunch of bullshit, to be honest. It's crazy to believe that I went through that whole thing. I'm sorry, folks. But basically what happened is they had to fucking rip them things out of his stomach. Okay? He stuffed the eggs so far up his body that they ended up in his stomach. So they had to go in there and just rip them things out. I'm sure they did it a lot more gentler than I'm, saying. But the point still stands. They had to, split them open, kind of like his partner did, but from the stomach, and then rip them things out. Okay? Don't do that, folks, okay? If you're out there and you're thinking about taking GHB and stuffing 15 hard-boiled eggs up your ass and you so happen to be Dutch, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not going to work. You're going to ruin your evening, okay? How about watching Netflix? Okay? How about you sit down, watch a little Netflix, enjoy your fucking night like that? You don't have to be stuffing eggs up your ass. Okay? People go to the extremes just to have a good time. You don't have to do all that. You can sit down and just relax. All right? Relax. Enjoy your damn day. Jesus Christ. It's like, I don't even know, for me, I'm a real chill dude. Like, I don't like to be, doing too much during my days, right? I like to kind of relax. I may catch a movie. I may not. I like watching podcasts. I'll watch a podcast. I'll watch one of my favorite podcasts, Tim Dillon, shout out to you. So I'm very cool when it comes to stuff like that, like just chilling, but I'm never cool with someone being like, hey, you want to go chill, and they end up at a nightclub. I'm just not a nightclub guy. Maybe it's the age, a little older now. Maybe when I was younger, I would do it. But now, I just want to chill. No eggs in my ass, Netflix, maybe a little food. The only thing I want anywhere near my ass is the burrito I just inhaled when it comes out that side. That's it. No entries, just exits. That is what a rectum is, people. A rectum is made for exiting, not entry. I hope everyone understands that, okay? It's, it goes without saying, but sometimes it takes people a little bit to, really kind of grasp, certain things. But, yeah, man, it's a wonderful day, all right? Woke up today, we're breathing, we're living, America establishing dominance, We learned a little bit more about the Diddy parties, they apparently love Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and Shaq. So shout out to them. You guys have some big fans in, the Diddy parties. I wonder why they didn't call LeBron, though. Think about it. LeBron, ain't no party like a Diddy party. I know. They didn't even use you, bro. They didn't even put your name into that little trio that they had, the trifecta. Your name wasn't even called in the trifecta. But it's all right, though. You still, ain't no party like a Diddy party. I hear you, Bron. I hear you, Brown. Suicide pod enthusiast over here, the company guy, he did exactly what he built. Maybe he did it for himself. Maybe he did it maybe when he said, I'm building this business, he did it because he wanted to do it for himself. Genius? Maybe. Maybe. You never know. And Fat Joe, man, I don't know. Fat Joe got some shit going on. Yeah, I'm gonna be paying attention to that. Fat Joe is on some kind of like insane thing, and I don't know, man. I've never really trusted Fat Joe, right? So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what he's gonna speak about, and I think he has a podcast with Jadakiss. So I'm gonna see if he's even gonna shed light on this, because you can tell a lot from a person's response. You could tell a lot. You can tell if they're telling the truth. You could tell if they're hiding stuff. You can tell if they're nervous. I mean, when a person is responding to an allegation, it says a lot. Just look at Meg Thee Stallion. As for me, I'm back on Instagram. Till further notice, you know? We're going to keep it pushing. I released the podcast page alongside my normal page. They took that. So no more podcast pages, people. There's only one page you can come see me at, and that is PS_visual_ENT. If you want to check me out, you can go there. But I don't have really much of a page anymore, you know. But I am very grateful for hitting 1,000 within a day or two. I think it was like the second day. It's like gearing back up. A bunch of people were finding me. I had people that I knew that I started following, and they followed me back. So like, you know, the hustle is there. I want to get to 10,000 before the end of this year. Okay, I want to reach 10,000 followers before the end of this year. That is my goal. That is what I'm going to do, and that's what we're gonna keep striving for. All right. Shout out to everybody that follows me. KBT, you guys are amazing. And Raw Valor, I love their products. You guys are going to see more of those products in the next coming weeks as well. Got some really special stuff going on with those guys. Anyways, that's enough for the shameless plugs. You guys have a great day. Peace.